Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to running the 13 game NBA slate on Wednesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you guys are playing the Thanksgiving 3-game NFL slate, make sure to check out my video there. I also will be doing a live stream Thursday morning. If you guys are unable to watch these YouTube videos, also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link down below. It's called the DK DFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, offer a few different packages, patreon.com. More info down below. And the sponsor of the video is Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is a player prop site where you're kind of building a lineup. So you have 20 possible players and you pick 10. The less probable the prop is to occur, the more points you receive if you choose correctly. So like, let's just say one example here, Jonas Valanciunas, 14.5 rebounds plus assist. Well, you would think, as long as he stays out of foul trouble, the game stays close, like he's going to go over that, right? He's a great rebound. He might go over that on rebounds alone. So that's why, if the under hits, you get a lot more points. So that's kind of the game theory. That's what makes it fun. These are the 20 props up. If you guys want to try out Thrive Fantasy, make sure to sign up and use my code. It's DKDFS. It is DKDFS, all one word, and you will get a 100% match up to $100. You deposit using my code $100, you'll get a free $100 to play with. And finally, I want to thank you guys for all of your continued support. Make sure if you guys do enjoy the content to hit the like button. Try to aim for 100 on this one, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If I don't talk to you guys again before Thanksgiving, I want to wish you guys all a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Okay, so before we get into players and their prices, let's take a look at my lineup here from tonight. So tonight, we will see. We will see. Low-owned Luka Doncic picking up, getting in massive foul trouble. I'm very happy about that, guys. I'm very happy about that. No, but seriously, this is a slate where it's like there were a ton of landmines. I avoided a decent amount of them. Let's go over it. So Kemba, the Knicks guys looked pretty good there once Derrick Rose got ruled out. He didn't really close. It went to quickly, which was definitely, I knew that was a possibility, right? Alec Burks is another Knicks value I went to. He did really, really well. I was kind of playing it for Jokic being in because I was actually leaving. I was talking about this in the Patreon last year. I was like, all right, you probably take the optimal values in Garza and Noel if you're playing a cash game setting. You can look to fade one and maybe hope that Jokic ends up playing. That's what I was hoping for. He didn't, so I had to move some things around. I got to Barton, Green, and Morris. The game blew out, too. They lost about 4 minutes, which was pretty big. And then Garza got in massive foul trouble, too. It's just like, you can't make that stuff up. God, I was so frustrated when I saw 2 quick ones in Garza, a third, and then he picks up his 4th immediately. I wasn't planning, or I didn't expect Luka Garza to come out and play 35 minutes, but he's a good point per minute guy, and he lost a pretty decent chunk of minutes from that foul trouble. I would say, I was expecting 25 to 28 minutes from him, and he played like 16, 17, so that was very, very frustrating. And then Paul George off to a really slow start here, but he is one of the more popular plays. And then again, I got a super low-owned Luka, and he gets a massive foul trouble. Now he's still on pace for a pretty solid night here, 44 fancy points. Might get in the cash because of Luka. We will see. But going over ownership in the Thunderdome, sorry. So let's take a look at some of these landmines here. Talon Horn Tucker. One guy I avoided. I faded him last slate at 50+% owned. It went awful. He went for 50 fantasy points. I faded him tonight he was the highest owned in basically all the tournaments, and he was a massive bust. So that ended up working well for me. Fournier did really good. Again, the Knicks guys, it's always hard to trust because they're going to go the hot hand situation. So like, could 50% Fournier could have busted in the spot? Of course. Yeah. Like we've seen multiple games where he's busted. Again, Paul George off to a really slow start. Aaron Gordon was pretty popular. Here's a guy that I actually didn't get in my lineup. But let's see what else. Quickly was fine. Any other ownership? PJ Dozier got injured. That was unfortunate. Damian Lillard was pretty popular. He was a bust. Anthony Davis, another spend up that got some ownership. He was a massive bust. This is the winning lineup right now. Quickly, McCollum, Burks, Randall, Noel, Kemba, Barrett, and Lillard. So that is it for the look back, guys. Hope you guys had a good night, and let's talk about this 13-game slate. So I'm not going to be able to go as in-depth because I want to cover all these teams. So let's quickly go through it. Phoenix and Cleveland. We'll start DeAndre Ayton, 7-4. Like the price point on him. Should play low to mid-30s minutes. He's been really, really solid recently. Good rebounder. Should be able to have his way against Jarrett Allen. So I think he looks solid. Paul, Booker, more secondary options. Booker, the guys that has the higher ceiling. Paul, the guy with a little bit higher floor. As far as the wings, Crowder and Bridges don't really stand out to me. If you think the game blows out, you can go to JaVale McGee revenge game narrative, who is a good point per minute guy. But on a 13-game slate, I don't think it's necessary. On the Cleveland side, keep an eye on Darius Garland. He is currently questionable. If he can't go, I think Ricky Rubio makes for a pretty solid play. Would probably start and play 35-plus minutes. So would like some Rubio there in the mid-range. And then Jarrett Allen with Mobley out. He played 37 minutes. So looks like there's no limitations on him. I think he's going to play all the minutes he can handle. So those two guys look good if Garland is out. If Garland is in, Rubio, more of a secondary option. Probably would have a small preference to Garland because of the minutes. Kevin Love has been back at 5-5, but just the minutes have not been there. He's been super productive. I would think I'd rather go to a guy like LAURI MARKKANEN, who came in his first game back, played 31 minutes. So I think he's a pretty decent play there in the mid-range, assuming there's no limitations. Again, moving on to the Lakers and the Pacers. So the Lakers with LeBron James back, not much. They're all kind of secondary options. They're all a little bit overpriced with LeBron in. Same with THT. So honestly, the Lakers are a team I'm kind of fading. Like if you want to take a shot at one of the big three and hope they have a ceiling game, sure. But when they're all healthy and they're all above 10K, they don't really stand out. Now the Pacers, on the other hand, I'm pretty on the Pacers here. So bonus, Brogdon. We have seen what teams can do to this Lakers defense. The Lakers are playing no defense right now. And the Pacers have been, this was a game where he got pulled. All the starters got pulled. Blowout. Well, back-to-back blowouts. The bonus has gone from 47 and 42. So it seems like that he has found his stride here. I like the usage I've seen on him last few games. So I do like Sabonis a good amount. I'm pretty high on Brogdon too. He was on pace for 50-plus last slate I had him, and the game was a blowout, random blowout. So that was very, very tilting. But those two guys look pretty solid. No issue with Miles Turner there at 6K. Keep an eye on LeVert if he can't go. I think a guy like Chris Duarte becomes in play for value. All right, Charlotte and Orlando. So LaMelo Ball continues to play big minutes. I think he's a decent option here if you think the Magic can keep it close. This Magic team is not great with Cole Anthony out of the lineup, so still some blowout risk. But yeah, LaMelo probably my favorite option. Not much else here. Bridges, Hayward, Rozier, all fine tournament options. You can always go to Kelly Oubre too, whose minutes fluctuate, production fluctuates, but he does have a ceiling. We've seen it a couple times from him already this year. On the Orlando side, so Cole Anthony out. All right, so there's been a lot of blowouts here recently, but the front court, if this game stays close, they're going to play over 30 minutes in Bamba and Carter Jr. So the price is coming down on him on both things. The ownership will come down too. I don't hate either of these guys. Like, the matchup's not bad. The question is, can they keep the game competitive, right? That's the big thing. So RJ Hampton versus Jalen Suggs. Well, if you think the game stays competitive, I think you want to go to Suggs because Hampton won't play as much. Hampton probably gets 15 to 20 minutes if the game stays close, and Suggs probably pushes for around 30. But we've seen back-to-back blowouts where RJ Hampton is absolutely smashed. So if you think the game is not so competitive, I think you go to Hampton. Unless they switch up the starting lineup. Now, if RJ Hampton starts, then I'm way more confident in him in a competitive game. So the two guards, depends on how you think this game goes. Like Terrence Ross has lost minutes because of the blowouts, but I think he plays 25 to 30 if the game stays close. I think he's an interesting tournament option there for Orlando. So Orlando, interesting team here because they've been involved in two blowouts here. I think the ownership will drop. Brooklyn and Boston, not much interest in the top two guys here for Brooklyn. I think Aldridge is solid. He started the second half last game, played 34 minutes. We know he's a good point per minute guy. Patty Mills, the minutes will be there, but the price is to a point where it doesn't really stand out. James Johnson, Bembry, these are two guys without Bruce Brown, without Joe Harris have been getting some solid minutes. Mid-20s here for James Johnson. He's the guy who can stuff a stat sheet. I think he's decent value. And then Bembry's been starting, played 23 minutes last game. Like, he's playable, but not a great point per minute guy. On the Boston side, keep an eye on Jaylen Brown. If Brown's in, there's not much interest here. If Brown's out, then I do like Tatum here at 10-1. Good matchup against Brooklyn. Should be the highest usage guy. Should play close to 40 minutes. And then Schroeder get a pretty big usage bump there too. So really, really depends on the chance of Brown. If Brown is in, not much. If Brown's out, I like Tatum and Schroeder. Chicago and Houston. So Vucevic, questionable. Looks like he might be coming back here. If that is the case, I'm probably going to stay away from the Bulls. There would be some blowout risk. Like the big three, with DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic are all kind of like the Lakers. Like you can use them in large field tournaments, but no one really stand out. A lot of these guys priced up from when Vucevic was out. Now, if Vucevic can't go, then yeah, Levine, DeRozan are viable options in a really good matchup. So monitor the status of Vucevic there. On the Houston side, they've been god-awful. Christian Wood, if the game stays close, he probably plays mid-30s minutes, so I think he's viable for tournaments. We do have Kevin Porter Jr. back, which kind of takes Eric Gordon and Jalen Green out of play. If there's no limitations for Kevin Porter Jr., I think he's a decent GPP play. Should play over 30 minutes if the game stays close. Toronto and Memphis. So the positive for Toronto is the minutes, right, for the main guys. Siakam, Van Fleet, both should play close to 40 minutes. I like them here in an up-tempo game here against Memphis. We should get, again, around 40 minutes. Van Fleet, Siakam, both these guys can kind of stuff the stat sheet. So I like them both at their respective price points. I don't expect OG Anunoby to come back. Scotty Barnes is 6'6". It doesn't really stand out this price point. Gary Trent, so let me just tell you guys a story. Smash, 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 smash. I finally play him. 3 of 16. Kem Birch has been starting games. This is a bigger front court. If he starts again, I think he's a fair value. Don't expect big minutes. I think low 20s would make him a safe play. On the Memphis side, I'm pretty high on John Morant, 9.8K. I like the spot here. Should play close to 40 minutes. A guy that is, he shot 9 of 30. He shot 30 times last game. So I do like Ja decent amount there at that price. Keep an eye on Dylan Brooks. If Brooks can't go, that makes me like Ja even more. Triple J, you can always go to him in tournaments. Again, foul trouble risk, though. Desmond Bane played really well last game. Shot 12 of 20, though. Went for a 40 bomb. I think that's kind of an outlier. Plus, if the price is up, I think he's still playable, but ownership might be a little bit inflated. Steven Adams at 4-4 would probably get mid-20s minutes. He's a fair value play. And then slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, 4.6K. He's been starting. Only played 23 minutes, though. Not great. Would have liked to see those minutes go up on him. All right, Detroit-Milwaukee. This game definitely has some blowout risk. If you think the games can stay competitive, you want to target a guy like Cade Cunningham. He was not great against Miami. Again, it was an awful matchup, but if the Pistons want any chance to keep this game close, it's Cade. Grant, Bay don't really stand out to me. Keep an eye on who they start. Like if Garza starts again, the Flatman price is playable. They could go to Trey Lyles as well. If you think the game blows out, then you can target guys like Diallo, Josh Jackson, Frank Jackson. And then Corey Joseph started too. He's been playing big minutes. Assuming he starts again, I think he's a pretty safe play. The way he fails, I think, is the blowout, right? Which is definitely possible. On the Milwaukee side, well, the blowout risk here against an awful Detroit team. If you think they keep the game competitive, then you want to look to like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who could absolutely smash here. But I'm pretty worried that game does not stay close. Miami and Minnesota. So Miami basically fully healthy now, besides Oladipo. Kind of all tournament plays in Jimmy, Bam, Lowry, Hero. Like one of these guys did have a good game, but like trying to figure out which one's going to be a little bit hard, which with everyone's kind of price up. Like Bam was really like he was in a smash spot tonight, and he was disappointing against Detroit. That happens at times with Bam, right? He's in a really good spot, and it will just bust. I do think they need him out there to guard Karl Anthony Towns. But Jimmy Butler at 10K, that doesn't really stand out. Lowry, Hero both had good games tonight, but they're priced right. So like just a tricky team right now for me to get super confident about. On the Minnesota side, tough matchup here against Miami. It's really, really one of the worst matchups right now in the NBA. So no one I'm really looking to. Like Cat Edwards, D'Lo, if you feel really good about one of those guys in tournaments, you can go there. But really bad matchup. I think I'll be looking elsewhere. Utah and OKC, another game that has some blowout risk. No Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you think the games can stay competitive, Mitchell, Gobert, probably your two guys. Like Gobert should be able to feast against this front court. Mitchell, great match. Like these two look good if you think that the Thunder can keep the game competitive. If you think the game blows out, maybe a guy like Whiteside, a 4-1, who's a good point per minute guy. Might see a couple extra minutes. He's gone for 20 plus the last two games. On the Thunder side, so as I mentioned, no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Josh Giddey is the guy you want to look to if you think the Thunder can keep the game close. He will be running the offense. It's not a good matchup, but he should play over 30 minutes. So I do like Giddey decent amount. Guys like Dort, Baisley in play for tournaments, but they're a little bit riskier. James Robinson-Earl started at the 4. He played 30 plus minutes. I think he's a fair value if he starts the 4 again. If you think the game blows out, then maybe a guy like Ty Jerome becomes interesting. He's been a pretty high usage guy off the bench, and he's a guy that could smash if the game turns into a massive blowout. Washington, the Pelicans, so not a ton of love here. I think Brad Beal is solid in a good matchup. He should play 35 to 40 minutes. We haven't really seen the ceiling from him in a while, right? We've seen a couple of big games, but that was when like Dinwiddie is out. So like Beal in play, but not a smash spot. Dinwiddie, Kuzma, not really for me. There's not a ton of love here. I mean, Gafford is down to 4-2. He's always in foul trouble. I think he's in play for GPPs. Again, though, foul trouble risk makes him always risky on the Pelicans side. So I had a low on Jonas Valanciunas, was playing well, 19 minutes, and just massive foul trouble injured, plus the blowout. But looks like he'll be good to go for this one. I don't mind going back to JV. I think he plays mid-30s minutes if the game stays close. So fine with Jonas Valanciunas. Ingram was a massive chalk bust last slate. He's been really disappointing of late. I think the ownership will be very low on him. Devontae Graham, questionable if he can't go. then, possibly some value opening up depending on who they start, but I just don't know if I can trust the Pelicans' value. I think Josh Hart is probably your safest bet. I think he plays mid-30s minutes if the game stays competitive. He's been smashing every single game except when I finally buy in for 12. Of course, I fade. He goes back to like 40 fancy points, 3 blocks, 3 steals. That is DFS in a nutshell. Atlanta and San Antonio. Trae Young, good tournament play, 9.5K. Should play low to mid-30s minutes. Again, has a low floor, though never someone I trust in cash games. The two bigs in Capella and Collins I'd like for GPPs as well. Capella, the minutes sometimes fluctuate. Sometimes he doesn't close games. And then John Collins is prone to foul trouble. But both these guys have a good amount of upside. We've seen Collins stay out of foul trouble last 2 games, and he's played 34, 33, and 35 minutes. So I like Trae Young and the Hawks bigs for GPPs. As far as cash game plays here, Herder's has been starting and playing around 30 minutes. I think he's a decent play. The only issue is he's a little reliant on the scoring. Not much else here. Gallinari, Reddish, Viable off the bench, but that's about it. On the Spurs side, so DeJounte Murray at 9.6. Again, I play him here. 23 fancy points. I fade. 61, 60, 59 fancy points. But yeah, he is a guy that the ceiling is obviously there. The floor is a little bit lower on him than the other stars. So a little bit of a more boomer bust, kind of like a Trae Young-esque. So probably someone I wouldn't touch in cash games with viable tournaments. And Jakob Poeltl 5.7. He played 31 minutes. So that's really good to see. Poeltl's a decent point for a guy, good rebounder. And this is a bigger front court for the Hawks. So I think if Jakob Poeltl plays over 30 minutes again, I think it's a pretty good price at only 5.1K. The rest of the Spurs, I just don't trust this rotation. They started CADE Bates Diop for some reason. He only played like 19 minutes. If you want to take a dart like a Vassell, a Lonnie Walker, a Keldon Johnson, they're viable, but Pop's kind of go with the hot hand there. Philadelphia and Golden State, well, this game does have some blowout risk. Also, we have Tobias and Seth Curry, both questionable, and Danny Green. So it's really hard to say right now. If they're all out, well, Drummond in play for tournaments. However, a little bit worried his minutes won't be as high against a small ball Golden State team. Like, he smashed a low ownership and was in massive foul trouble last game. Guys like Maxey, Milton, Yang, Korkmaz, Thibault, all would look really solid if Tobias, Seth Curry, and Danny Green are all out. Now, if they're all in, then probably Tobias would be my favorite play at 8K. We think he goes back to his mid to high 30s minutes. So Philadelphia is a wait and see right now, depending on the injuries. And finally, Golden State. So here's another one. Steph Curry. Fade, 58. Fade, fade, fade. Finally buy in. 27 fantasy points when I buy in. Well, we know the upside is there. Again, the floor is like this. So I will let you guys know if I play Steph Curry. If I play Steph Curry, don't come anywhere near him. If I fade him, he's going for 70. Wiggins, Poole, both had a great game last game. That's kind of an outlier, right? They're priced way up too. I'll let others chase his performance. Like, I'm a big Jordan Poole fan, but this is a price point where I'm going to pass. And then there's not much else that stands out. I don't want to deal with the headache of the 13-man Steve Kerr rotation on a 13-game slate. And finally, Portland and Sacramento. So the two guards both in play here, CJ, Lillard. Both should play 35 to 40 minutes. Good matchup here. CJ a little bit easier to get to in your lineups, but he is a little bit of a lower floor. Lillard, the higher ceiling, but he's also a little more expensive. Now, Nurkic, he played mid-20s minutes tonight. This is a good matchup. I'm okay with it. Again, the only risk is there's been times where he hasn't closed games. But this is a bigger front court against Sacramento with Holmes or like one of Alex Len, Tristan Thompson out there. So maybe this is a game where Nurkic pushes for 28-ish minutes. Powell, Covington, Nance, all kind of secondary options. No one really stands out there. And finally, Sacramento. So this is a tricky team. It is a good matchup here. De'Aaron Fox is 7.6. The minutes are there, just the production has not really been there. Peripheral stats have been down on him a little bit. So he's only played for tournaments. Barnes is 6.2. The minutes are there, but he's been a little bit up and down recently. Again, Holmes, upside is there, but he's prone to foul trouble. It's just like the Kings are all just kind of secondary plays for me. Halliburton at 5'8". I think he plays mid-30s minutes. It's fine. Buddy Hield had a nice game off the bench last game. He's pretty reliant on the scoring, though. So, really the main, 5 guys here for Sacramento I think are in play, but there's no standout options for me. So, yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the video. If you guys have been enjoying the content, again, make sure to hit that like button. Let's try to aim for 100 likes, guys. Every single like really does help me out. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one.